guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. First of all, thank you guys for being here. You guys look excited. And you know, I like these kids, Luis, right? Because they all look at you. You know, they have an eye contact. That's important, right? So I think you guys can get something from what I got to say to you. So my name is Thomas Silvas, and before I start talking, I do want to thank this guy, right? This guy's a champion, a professional, and he's here to coach you guys, right? That's special, right? He's just not a normal coach. He's been around for a long time, right? So let's give Coach Luis a applause. I'd also like to thank all the other coaches, like Juan, right? Rovo, and I think Bruce is one of the coaches, and I'd like to thank all of them for being here. They're fantastic. And I thank my good friend King George. And I'll tell you a quick little story before I even talk on him. So I saw the game between him and Pele, right? And his name was George at that time, George Lampton, right? But that game, when he played against Pele, he was like a Ghanaian lion. Stand up, King. He would probably had about 30 more pounds on him right now, right? But back then, there wasn't any turf, right? It was all grass. And this guy, he was playing sweeper. And Pele is like my size, right? He's not that big. And he's a center forward like I am, right? And this guy was coming, back then you could do 2-footed tackles, right? And King George, every time that ball got close to Pele, King George was coming in with 2 scissor legs. And even if you missed Pele, there was grass going up all over the place, right? Pele, after he got chopped a couple times, Pele said, I don't think I want this guy. Right? And the whole game, Pele didn't do anything, nothing. This guy, I think he earned his name, George, in that game, right? He played phenomenal, and I watched that game over and over and over again, and it was amazing. And so, congratulations, King. That's where your name came from. How much you and all due respect to Pele, because Pele's my idol. He was the first guy that I looked up to, and sorry, Pele, but that was the truth, man. I mean, and Pele, as great as he was, right? All right, so I want to talk to you guys about something. That's why I passed out that card to you guys today, and that's the title of it. In Spanish, it's called Soñar a lo Grande. That means dreaming big, right? You guys know what that is? Dreaming big, right? I'm going to talk about that today because that's why I'm here today. When I was young, I had a dream so big that everybody, they laughed at me. My brothers, right? They all laughed at me, right? But the thing that I had is I had also the mindset to say, okay, no problem. I'm still going to chase my dream, no matter what, right? I started juggling a soccer, not a soccer ball, because I didn't have one, but I was juggling a basketball on the street in Campbell at 10 years old, right? And I never believed and thought that that would end up in a 10-year professional soccer career, representing the USA and winning UCLA's first national championship.
Hey, Jeff, let's go.
And I believe it came down to one thing on that card. Soñar a lo Grande, dreaming big. And today, because of Luis, I'm here to inspire you guys to do the same. Sound like a deal? Yes. I like looking at their eyes. They're a good group. All right? So I'm going to tell you this story because, to be honest, it wasn't supposed to happen. After you hear this story, you're going to say, it doesn't sound right. It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. So let me get started because I know we got a little short on time. So this is my story, and I'm going to say it fast because we don't have that much time. So I'm one of 11 brothers and sisters. 11 brothers and sisters, right? In less than 1,000 square foot house. 5 boys in one room, right? Early divorce, which means, right? Common sense, tough times, poverty, food stamps. I don't know if you know what those are. But when my dad left, my mom said, it's all right. My mom was a champion. She was, we're going to pick prunes. Me and my brothers look at each other like this, pick prunes? Shoot. So we picked prunes all the way until I was 10 years old. All the way until I was 10 years old. At 10 years old, that was like the breakthrough. Me and all my brothers got to play sports, right? We got to play sports for the first time. I was 10 years old. Most of you guys probably started playing soccer when you were born, right? 3 years old, 4 years old. I didn't start till I was 10, right? But when I did touch this ball, I don't know what happened. it was kind of funny. I just fell in love with it, right? And the funny thing is, nobody in my family even knew what soccer was. My dad never played. He picked cotton all his life, right? So what the hell's soccer? What is this game? All my brothers didn't play, and I fell in love with the sport. And I didn't even own a soccer ball. We didn't even have one. But you know, back then, everybody had a basketball, right? Everybody had a basketball. There was tons of basketball playing around. So I just sat in the street, and I would just juggle the basketball. Right in the middle of the street, I'd sit there and I'd juggle, and before you know, I got really good at just bouncing on my head like this. Neighbors would make fun of me. My brothers would say, dude, what are you doing, man? I said, I don't know, man. I just like doing this, right? And I just juggle the basketball right here. Neighbors would say, man, your brother, I could hear him talking while I'm juggling, you know. They said, your brother's involved, man. He's crazy. What is he doing, right? But, you know, for me, I didn't care, right? Because I wanted to do something with this sport. I just loved it. I don't know what it was. So I was about 15 years old, a little bit younger than you guys, right? And I'm walking off the soccer field, and I'm feeling pretty good. You know, I'm strutting off the field. You know why? I just scored a hat trick. You guys know what that is, right? How many of you guys scored a hat trick before? How many? Just raise your hand when you got a hat trick, right? So I'm strutting off the field like this, and I just felt pretty good when I scored a hat trick, right? So I'm walking up like this, and I'm walking here, trying to wait to go pick up my ride, and this big old arm comes around my shoulder. Big, heavy arm, but I could tell it was a good arm, you know, it was friendly, right? And Robo knows this guy. And he says, and I couldn't really move my neck because he had his big arm around me. And he goes, how would you like to play at UCLA? He said, my name is Steve Sampson. I'm the new assistant coach at UCLA. And I couldn't really move that much, but you know, I was a cocky little 15-year-old too because the way I grew up, and I just scored a hat trick. And I looked kind of to my left like this because I couldn't move too much. And I said, well, I don't know nothing about your soccer team. I said, but I do like UCLA basketball, right? Coach John Wooding, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Walton, all these guys. And I said, but to be honest, I have zero money, right? He's holding me like this. I said, I have zero money. And I said this, I shouldn't have said this, but I was a little smart ass. Excuse my language. I can say it, there's only guys here, right? And I said, I was a little smart ass. I said, I know you guys don't take food stamps. he kind of chuckled like this. I guess he knew what they were, right? And then he finally spun me around with that big arm like this. I'm looking at it like this. And he goes, Thomas, he says, you keep doing what you're doing, and you won't have to pay a penny. At that point, I kind of shook him off like this. I looked him right in his eyes. He's like 6'4", Steve Sampson. I looked him in his bleak blue eyes. I said, Coach, you got a deal. You got a deal. And from there, my dream was planted in my heart. It was planted in my mind, right? And I ran home. Sprinted home, but on the way home, I had my dream. It was like a 30-second clip of my dream. I knew exactly what I was doing, right? And it only took me 30 seconds, and I got it down so fast by the time I got home, because I didn't want anybody to interrupt me. And this is what I would say. I said it to my brothers, my sisters, my mom and dad, the dogs and cats. Even for you Mexican guys, you know what this is. Even the cucarachas, those are the only ones that would listen sometimes, right? Especially with 5 boys in one room, my brothers would eat in the room, cucarachas in the corner or whatever, right? Anyways, so this was my story. I'd look at all my brothers and sisters and I'd say this, hey, I'm going to UCLA and I'm going to play soccer there. I said, not only that, I'm going to win their first national championship. And you know, when I win that national championship, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be MVP, player of the game, right? And you know who's going to interview me? You got it right, UCLA, right? And you know what I'm going to say when they interview me? I'm going to look at all you brothers, because you're going to be sitting on the couch with grandma and the cousins, because we don't have any money, right? And I'm going to say, hi, Mom. And you know what that means? You guys don't know because you're young. But back in the day, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Joe Montana, that was the ultimate. Because that meant that you were the best. And that meant that you were thanking your mom, and it was just what every young player wanted to do, right? So my brothers, they said, dude, they were laughing, they were rolling on the ground. I mean, they made so much fun of me. The whole neighborhood made fun of me. But I just kept saying that story every single day, over and over and over again. In fact, one of my older brothers, he brought me in the corner like this. He grabbed me on the shoulder. I don't know why people like to put their arm around me, but he puts his arm around me, brings me in the corner, he goes, bro, let me talk to you from your older brother. He says, he looks at me like this, like I'm looking, he goes, you all right? I said, what are you talking about? He goes, don't you understand? Nobody in the Silvas family, we're Silvas, but the mom's side is Castro, Lopez, Vasquez. Nobody in the whole family has been to college, and nobody's graduated. And you're talking about UCLA, one of the best colleges in the country, if not the world. Do you remember we had zero money? We're on food stamps, bro. You're talking about a big school like that, right? And he says, on top of that, you don't even have a soccer ball. And on top of that, he said, I'll be honest with you, you're not that good at it. Your brother's telling you that, right? And I looked at him, I said, I'm sorry, but that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. So I kept saying that story, and I'm 14 or 15 then. Fast forward, I'm 20 years old. I'm 20 years old, and I'm in the Seattle Kingdom, right, where the Seattle Seahawks used to play football. And UCLA is playing American University for the national championship, right? We go 8 overtimes. 8 overtimes, still the longest game in history. Still, almost 2 full games straight, right? Almost 2 full games. And yes, as you could, I wouldn't be here, right? UCLA wins 1-0. So we go, you can imagine, right? Just like when you guys score a goal today, right? I went absolutely crazy. The team went crazy. We're jumping on each other. We're dogpiling. We're running all over the field. It was just pandemonium. It was amazing, right? And after we settled down, we calmed down, and I hear one of my friends call me from the sideline. So I start walking over there. There were some kids that wanted some autographs. So I'm headed over there like this, and all of a sudden I get this tap on the shoulder. And I said, oh, it's one of my teammates. So I give him a big hug like this. I say, hey, congrats, great game. He goes, yeah, Thomas, great game. But he said, but they want to talk to you over there. And I look at him like this, and I said, who? And it was so surreal. It was like slow motion. He goes, it was like slow motion. He goes, and before he could finish that, I said, ESPN? He goes, yeah. And instantly I look over there, and it's like I freeze. And I got these chills, kind of like I'm getting right now. But I look at King George, like he's right? And I get these, and I kind of like freeze right here, like this, right? I look over there, and then I just calm down. When I calm down, I said, this is it. It's happening right now. It's like my dream had come full circle. And it was happening right now in front of me, right? So I start heading over there, and I'm heading over to the sideline. I get over to the sideline, the whole crew's right there, ESPN. And I still remember the reporter's name. His name was Seamus Malice. He looks right at me like this. He goes, Thomas Silvas. He goes, congratulations. He said, phenomenal game. He says, UCLA is national champions for the first time in history. He says, but we got one question for you. He says, one question. He says, we don't understand how in the 8th overtime, when half of the stars, half of the team is out with cramps, injuries, the other half are playing like slow motion, but you, and these were his exact words, he goes, but you, he says, you're breaking the world record in the 40-yard dash. We all don't understand it, right? So I just stay quiet because you guys got to understand, my dad, even though he left, he was my best friend, and he was a U.S. Air Force, right? Stationed in Korea. He always told his boys, don't you ever take the credit. I'm saying never. He says, you always pay it forward. So I didn't. I'm looking at that ESPN camera like this, like I'm looking at that camera right there, and I said, I want to thank Dios. I want to thank the Lord. I want to thank the Lord for giving me the strength and the power to run endlessly. I said, I want to thank my head coach, Ziggy Schmidt, right, for a great game. He's my dear friend, rest in peace, my friend. Still one of the winningest coaches in MLS history. Still one of the winningest coaches in college, right? And I said, I'd also like to thank my assistant coach, Steve Sampson. Makes me smile. He's the one that planted that dream in my heart many, many years ago, right? I'd like to thank him. I'd like to thank my teammates, right? They did a great job. And I'm just happy. I'm just happy. That's all for me. And all of a sudden, Seamus looks at me like this. He goes, Thomas, he says, congratulations. Go celebrate with your teammates. Go celebrate with your family. And he turns around and they start wrapping up, right? And I freeze again. I'm sitting there. I'm freezing like this. And I'm thinking to myself, my dream's not over, right? All my brothers and sisters, there's nobody from my family at the game, right? Nobody. They're all at the home. But I knew my cousins, my grandma, my tias were all there at the house, right? And I said, hey, Mr. Seamus Malice. I said, I got something else to say. Can I say something? He spins around, he looks at me like this, he goes, Thomas Silvas, he goes, you're MVP, you're player of the game. You can say whatever you want. I said, okay, we'll set up, because I'm ready. I walk up to the camera like this, I smile big. To be honest, I fixed my gel again, because I was the only one wearing gel back in the day. I still am. I got 5 brothers, right? They're all in there. they love it. They still make fun of me today, right? I fix my gel one last time. I look at that camera like this and I say it loud and I go, "Hi, Mom," right? My brothers said they flipped out and they were jumping on the couches, fighting, tackling each other. My uncles were popping tequila, champagne. My parents were making carne asada. My mom the next morning, the Mexican guys will appreciate this, she made menudo. Breakfast of champions for me, right? I wasn't even home, but she made it anyways, right? And that was amazing. So it was, they said it was just a 24-hour party there. It was phenomenal. It was great. So before I end here, I want to tell you guys one thing. I have one more blessing for all you players today, tonight, and through your career, and then in life. And this goes not only for you players here today, but even all you coaches here and all you other people. And this is it. I challenge you guys all, for you players for tonight, to dream big, right? Dream big. And I'm talking so big that people think you're absolutely loco. I mean, crazy, right? That they laugh at you, right? Soñar a lo grande. Think of that word, remember, right? Because trust me, they will. They'll laugh at you. And when they do, you guys do me a favor. Don't you quit, right? And don't you stop pushing, right? Because right here, if a young boy without a soccer ball, right, can make it to UCLA, represent the United States of America and beyond, I promise you, there's no limit to what you guys can do. No limit. Sound good? Yeah. All right.